Hi friends, now I am going to discuss an important question that is cell growth can be stopped at some specific checkpoints in the cell cycle as depicted. Which stage of the cell cycle demonstrates the primary point in regulation of cell growth? What the question says is cell growth is stopped at different checkpoints. Which is the primary site for the checkpoint and which is important site of the checkpoint? Now we can see G1, S, G2 and M. What is the sequence of cell cycle? First is G0, then G1, next not G2, it is S, then G2 and it is M. And this is the cell cycle, sequence of the cell cycle, and the important point is the G1S point is the primary site of the checkpoint. Primary checkpoint is G1S. So what may be the answer? You can guess now. End of M point. End of M point. It is G1. G1S point is the primary checkpoint. It is not involving S. So it is not. End of G1. Then end G1. End of G1 is involving G1S. So it might be the answer. End of S. Then end of S is involving S and G2. It's not the answer. End of G2. End of G2 is involving G2M. G2M is second most important. First important is G1S as it involves both P53 and RB gene. RB gene most dominantly acts on G1S, and P53 also acts on G1S but dominantly acts on G2M. That's how to remember. So answer must be end of the G1 as a primary site, primary checkpoint, and important checkpoint is G1S. End of G1 is the answer. Now we have to remember few important points which is most radio resistant phase of the cell cycle. It is S phase. Is most radio resistant phase. Radio resistant phase of the cell cycle is S phase. Which is most radio sensitive phase of the cell cycle is G2M phase. G2M phase. Now I am going to give the sequence of the cell cycle in descending order and G2M is most radio sensitive. It is greater than G2. It is greater than M. It is greater than and G1. It is greater than early S phase and late S phase. Now you can give the answer which is most radio sensitive phase of the cell cycle, G2M. If G2M is not in the options, then G2 is the most radio sensitive phase of the cell cycle. Which is most radio resistant phase of the cell cycle, late S phase. If it's not in the option, if it is S is there in the options, then S is the most radio resistant phase of the cell cycle. Where will be the P53 act? It acts both on G1S and G2M but predominantly on G2M. Where does RB act? It predominantly acts on G1S. So P53 and RB gene, which are most important genes, acts on G1S and G1S commonly. So G1S is most important checkpoint. Thank you.